So I guess this is my fourth video about how much I hate streaming? Well, not streaming per se, streaming business practices. I'm old enough to remember when Netflix used to just throw in streaming as like a fun little bonus to their mailer service. Those were the days. Now you have to have an HDCP compliant monitor just to stream in HD, because apparently these sites simply presume that your ability to screen record will be used to infringe on their copyrights. That is wild. At this point, we all know what sucks about streaming sites. Crappy selections, shitty resolution, the constant uptick of price, counterintuitive UIs, the list goes on and on. No, seriously, I'm not done. No password sharing, no physical releases of their original programming, no proper residual structure in place for creators, and canceling shows after 2 seasons not because they aren't popular, but because 3rd seasons don't draw in as many new subscribers as new shows do. What's next? Surge pricing? Oh god. Pretend you didn't hear that. Streaming sites have basically become just a crappier version of cable. I mean, we all know that by now. But we are still dealing with what is, at its core, an incredible technology, which presents an unprecedented opportunity to further distribute art. It's cheaper and more convenient than physical rental stores, and it's easier than ever to find weird or unknown stuff. It's not an evil technology, it's an enviable technology. So this time around, instead of talking about what streaming sites get wrong, I want to talk about what they get right. Which streaming site is best? And why is it Tubi? Okay, first things first, no way this video is sponsored. It's not even monetized. I'm not against monetization or sponsorships as a rule, but they'll only ever be incidental to my videos. I'm not about to make a 30-minute commercial for anybody. Coming up with a clear winner in the streaming war is not the same thing as an endorsement, and for whatever it's worth, I don't want Tubi using this video to flex on other services. Also, abortion should be safe, legal, free, and on demand. In this video, I'll be using 5 different criteria to evaluate 10 different streaming sites. These sites weren't chosen systematically, they're just the 10 sites that I currently have access to, but they do represent a huge chunk of the overall market. Amazon Prime, Apple TV, Criterion, Disney+, Hulu, Max, Mubi, Netflix, Shudder, and Tubi make up nearly 90% of all streaming traffic. The only big one I'm missing is Paramount+. But if you already own Star Trek The Voyage Home,
maybe he's singing to that man,
and you don't really care about the Halo series, you'll be fine. I've also previously subscribed to AMC, Showtime, Starz, and Bellesa, but that's a different story. But since I don't have access to any of those services right now, I figure I should exclude them from the running. The 5 criteria that I'll be using to evaluate each service are incredibly subjective, and I make no apologies. Price, movie selection, how easy it is to find your own damn watch list, how draconian are the sharing restrictions, and how easy it is to unsubscribe. So with that said, let's get started. The largest terrorist organization in the world is the US military. Part 1. Price. I almost didn't even include a price section in the video because the price of each service seems to change with every quarterly earnings report. But since most streamers usually lock their users into the price that they signed up for until they cancel, I figure we can treat it like a semi-constant variable. In descending order of costs, we have Hulu in last place at $17.99 a month. Jesus, who do they think they are? Max is in second to last place at $15.99 a month, Netflix for $15.49, Mubi and Amazon Prime are each tied at $14.99 apiece, the Criterion channel is at $10.99, Apple TV and Disney Plus are tied at $9.99, Shudder is in second place with a surprisingly thrifty $6.99 a month, and finally Tubi, which is always, only, and ever free with ads. Now, most of these services have multiple different price tiers, depending on whether or not you want to put up with ads. But I'm only considering the ad-free plans because no ad-supported plan could ever beat the cost of Tubi, which is free. There are other caveats too, like you can actually get Amazon Prime Video for as low as $8.99 a month if you don't want any of the other benefits of Prime. But I think the vast majority of their users spring for full Prime benefits, so I'm going with that price here. You can also usually knock a couple bucks off of each service by paying for a full year up front. Plus, certain services can be bundled together like Disney and Hulu, which usually saves you a couple bucks over subscribing to each service individually. Suffice it to say that none of these prices are the absolute lowest that every service goes, but they're the standard monthly sticker price, so that's what we're going with. Personally, I don't like paying any more than about $12 for any individual service, regardless of any other considerations. I figure a movie rental costs $4 to $6 a pop, so $12 assumes I'll be watching 2 to 3 movies a month. And it's not that I worry I won't watch 3 movies in a month. I watched 45 in March alone. But any more than 3 movies a month on a single service, and it'll start to feel like a chore. Like I have to watch movies on that specific site, otherwise I won't get my money's worth. So as far as I'm concerned, any service in the top 5 is priced competitively. To consider paying anything more depends on how much you love their selection. Part 2. Selection. At first I wasn't sure how to properly evaluate this, because you can't just look up how many titles are in each streaming library and call it a day, since it's not the quantity of titles that matters, but the quality. But how do you evaluate that objectively? The answer is, you don't. You can only ever evaluate the quality of any given streaming service based on your own personal tastes. But I do have some numbers for you. What I did was I went to Letterboxd and created a 300 film super watch list. It's basically everything I want to see right now. We've got schlocky action comedies from the 1980s, timeless classics that I've been meaning to watch for literal decades, contemporary blockbusters, 100-year-old silent films, and everything in between. It spans nearly every genre, decade, budget, country of origin, and star rating. What I'm saying is that I know this list is only a representation of my tastes, but I still like to think that it's a fairly diverse sampling of films. There's something here for everyone. So which service has the most to offer? In last place, with 0 films on my watch list, is Disney+. That's what you get for pivoting so hard to miniseries no one asked for. In 9th place is Apple TV with just 3 films, all of them exclusive prestige titles that they paid through the nose for the rights. Hope it was worth it. In 8th place is Mubi, the little streamer that could, with 5 titles. Although it's probably worth noting that only 2 of them are exclusive to Mubi at the time of this recording, Eve's Bayou and Black Rain. Then again, Mubi sells itself as the kind of site that streams weird, esoteric, and hard to find anywhere else type of stuff, so that's probably not a deal breaker for their target audience. In 7th place is Hulu with 6 titles, sort of a random grab bag of obscure critical darlings and the occasional big budget actioner. 6th place is Shudder with a very respectable 11. Shudder only streams horror, so your mileage may vary, but it's a genre that I find myself returning to all the time, and for $7 a month, I think nearly a dozen titles is pretty impressive. In 5th place is Netflix with around dozen, with 9 of them being non-English language films, which I thought was surprising. It's the last stuff they'd ever think to advertise on their homepage. Max and Amazon Prime are both tied for 3rd with 18 titles apiece. The selections are getting pretty diverse at this point, really too diverse for me to highlight any general trends, but I'll leave the list on screen for a few more seconds in case you want to peruse. Whatever, you wouldn't believe how long it took to get all of this data visualized on screen, but you're probably just listening to this video on your phone anyway, like a podcast, aren't you? And the Criterion Channel, the surprise dark horse in this race, leapt over the pack and made it all the way to number 2 with an astonishing 43 titles. 43! It would take me all of March to watch them. And again, I know this is just a snapshot of my personal tastes, but I honestly don't think Criterion is as obscure and esoteric as their reputation would suggest. Like, Armageddon is in the Criterion collection. It's spine number 40. They had a Razzies playlist all through March. Anyone can find something in there that they like. But wait, what about Tubi? How did Tubi do?
At last, my love has come along.
Tubi takes the cake with a whopping 59 titles. They stream nearly a 1/5 of all the films I want to see right now. That's more than the bottom 7 services combined. And that's just one random day. I checked again the night before I recorded this video and it had jumped up to 71. And it's not just one kind of film that they offer. It's not like they stream all the schlocky action films but none of the foreign stuff. They've got everything from contemporary blockbusters to obscure thrillers, to the underseen early work of popular auteurs, independent foreign films, and movies I put on my watch list solely because I like Mila Jovovich. Other streamers might be able to replicate this diversity, but not on this scale. And just look at these categories. Most streamers can hit the blockbuster basics: drama, horror, action, sci-fi, comedy, but Tubi's got sections dedicated to westerns, sword and sorcery, actors turned directors, movies based on books, and even tax day? Stream these films that are all about the money, money, money. I could write copy. Something else worth mentioning is the quality of Tubi's streaming library. I mean the streaming quality itself. This is just a single test case, but earlier this year I wanted to watch Steamboat Bill Jr., the Buster Keaton classic from 1928. You'd know it when you see it. It's where this famous shot comes from. No, this famous shot. 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 And when I went looking, I saw that it was streaming for free on both Tubi and Amazon Prime. But look at the quality of either service. Good lord. More like Amazon Subprime, am I right? It's okay if you unsubscribe from my channel at any time, but I take it as a personal favor if you didn't unsubscribe because of that joke. The difference is that Amazon streams an older version of the film in the public domain, whereas Tubi streams a new restoration of the film by Cohen Media from 2018. Amazon has the Cohen Media version too, but it isn't free on Amazon. This is something else that drives me crazy. Amazon will frequently have multiple listings for the same film, and the difference is rarely clear. As far as I can tell, the only difference between these two versions of the Pelican Brief is that this one is $3.79, and the other one is on sale for $3.79. No clue what's going on there. Now, you'd think that maybe one of my criteria for evaluating the quality of any given streaming library is how good is their original content, but it's not. Not for me, anyway. Original programming is not a draw, not by simple virtue of the fact that it's original. Both Napoleon and Killers of the Flower Moon are Apple TV exclusives, and I do want to see them, but I don't give Apple any special credence by virtue of the fact that these are Apple exclusives. Like, congratulations, you won a bidding war. If you hadn't, somebody else would have. The fact that you agreed to finance it means nothing to me. And 90% of the time, the streamers, well, I shouldn't say 90, I should say in many instances, the streamers aren't even financing this stuff anyway. They usually just pay for the distribution rights after the film is already made, and then they get to slap their logo on it. Plus, good original content can often be a detriment to a streamer, as far as I'm concerned, because original content is all too often just a euphemism for this shit is never getting released on Blu-ray. I like a lot of original content across a wide variety of streamers, but I had to import Dark from China. Same with Prehistoric Planet. I had to buy a region-free Blu-ray player and then import Normal People from the UK. And as far as I know, Midnight Mass isn't available on Blu-ray in any region. I'm sorry, but I'm a home video hardliner. If you refuse to release something onto home media, you're not distributing it. You're holding it hostage. I barely watch any of Netflix's original series anymore because I know they hardly ever release anything on home video, and they usually just cancel stuff after 2 or 3 seasons anyway, regardless of popularity. So why get invested? And that's not the only business practice that bothers me. A few weeks back, the news broke that Netflix was using AI-generated photos of real people in the true crime documentary What Jennifer Did. Shudder did it too. They put AI-generated intertitles into Late Night with the Devil. Disney Plus used it for the Secret Invasion credits. The bar is sitting on the floor, and some people still don't manage to clear it.
I expect nothing, and I'm still let down.
Okay, no, but I said this wasn't going to be a video about what streamers get wrong. It's just hard to stay on track sometimes because of how quickly you run up into the bullshit. So anyway, to sum up, Tubi offers the widest selection of titles at the best possible price, and sometimes those titles are streamed in better quality than many of their competitors. So what else is there to consider? Well, in a word, pet peeves. Part 3. How easy is it to find your own damn watch list? So here's a big peeve of mine. Why do so many streaming sites insist on hiding your own damn watch list from you? Is it because they want you to prioritize the content that they pitch on their homepage over everything else? I don't get it. Is it really so important to Netflix that I watch the J-Lo AI mech movie before I finally watch The Dig? I don't know. I'm sure there are lots of people who love to browse, but I'm not usually opening a streamer unless I've already decided what I want to watch. So my watch list is usually the most important feature of the site, and not being able to access it from the homepage is a huge pass-fail for me. But you'd be surprised as to how many services fail. Criterion is, I hate to say it, but they are bringing up the rear in last place. Because when you load their homepage, you are still several clicks away from your watch list. And I can never remember exactly which sequence of clicks will finally get you there. Start watching brings you to another page with the same useless banner at the top, and then you have to scroll down to find your actual watch list. Come on, guys. Give me a watch list button on the homepage. I guess I could bookmark criterionchannel.com/browse if I want to shorten the number of steps. I'm gonna say Max is in second to last place, because while they do have a watch list button on their homepage, it's kinda hidden. It's this unlabeled bookmark at the top right hand corner. It took me almost a year to figure out what that button was. Apple TV is on thin ice. When you load the homepage, there's no home row of any kind, just these buttons at the top. That's annoying. Your watch list is the first playlist below the banner, but they try and get cute with it. Up next. That's what they call the watch list, up next. And it always feels like they're trying to take credit for my own tastes. Everyone else does... I mean, well enough, I guess. Like, I'm not gonna overstate the problem. Most streaming sites have a watch list button on the homepage, but I find it weird that this isn't the industry standard. I suspect capitalism has more to do with these annoying UIs than bad programming or whatever. Like, streaming sites are older than the Obama administration. These are not bugs at this point, they are features. Basically, it's a huge pet peeve of mine whenever a site seems to want to draw my attention away from whatever I know I'm already interested in. No watch list button, overly aggressive autoplay, multiple listings for the same movie, bragging that you stream a film but it's actually only available to stream with ads, keeping movies on your watch list even after they've been removed from your streaming library. I consider this all dark pattern territory, and there are very few sites that do none of them. Amazon and Netflix are the two biggest offenders in my book, and the ones that don't do any are all tied for first. Disney+, Hulu, Shudder, and Tubi. Generally speaking, I don't get the feeling that any of them are trying to actively misdirect me. Part 4. Sharing restrictions. Netflix used to brag about allowing users to share passwords. Not anymore. Now you gotta pay for each individual profile on the account. This was a long time coming. I expect every streaming site to do it eventually. Since capitalism demands not just growth, but faster growth at every interval, Netflix needs to keep drumming up new subscribers in order to keep their stock value up. And their CEO compensated to the tune of $40 million a year. Excuse me, both their CEOs. One way to find new subscribers is to push into new markets, which is reportedly why they sold the distribution rights to Monkey Man, because it threatened to upset important contacts within the Indian government, which is supposedly Netflix's next big undertapped market. The other way to find new subscribers is to take their current pool of users and force some of them to sign up for new accounts, which is what the end of password sharing did. The move was wildly unpopular amongst actual users, but their stock value went up. Now, I know some of you might be wondering, why am I coming down so hard on Netflix for taking away a feature that lots of streaming sites don't even bother to offer? And that's because Netflix taking away password sharing is a symptom of an industry-wide contraction that Netflix ignored for as long as possible until it could finally push the burden onto its users, which is just a shitty thing to do. See, Netflix pulled ahead of the pack in the world of streaming not only by being first, but by the way they used regular injections of VC money to keep expanding their business without actually generating any profit for many, many years. In fact, this is now the go-to standard under late-stage capitalism. Burn through other people's cash for several years or even decades until you've practically formed a monopoly on your services, at which point you can do practically whatever you want. Jack up prices, remove popular services, automate as much as possible, reduce the pay of your workers, pressure Congress into letting you treat them like independent contractors instead of actual employees, whatever it takes to increase your stock value, besides cutting the CEO's salary, of course. It's what Amazon and Uber did too, operate at a loss for years before tanking their service as soon as they're the only ones offering them. Now, I wouldn't say that Netflix ever quite had a monopoly on streaming, but they came pretty close. It took a concerted, multi-year effort by all the major studios launching their own proprietary streaming services to finally put a dent into their market share. Disney is now distributing Alien and Predator films. That's how many mergers had to take place before Netflix finally had some serious competition. What was I talking about? Right, password sharing. Basically, the end of password sharing is symptomatic of the fact that capitalism prioritizes stock value over literally all other factors. Customers, employees, artists, the environment, whatever. I already made a whole video about my major beefs with streaming services, but the hits just keep on coming. The most recent writer's strike failed to put a deal in place which would have been comparable to their pre-streaming compensation, and the WGA strike didn't put much of any constraints in place for the use of AI. You know why streamers love to make short 8-episode miniseries over the more traditional 22-episode seasons? It's to keep residual structures and pay rates low. Now they only have to keep writers employed for a couple of months at a time instead of a whole year. How's a writer supposed to sign a lease if all the writing gigs only last 3 to 4 months? The industry is currently bullet training its way to the point where the only people who can afford to be writers in Hollywood are either independently wealthy or fine with being broke. They are effectively taking advantage of people's passion in order to gold plate their automated ball scratchers or whatever. It hasn't been this way forever. The industry really started going off the rails once giant corporate hedge funds started acquiring studios. Universal wasn't always a Comcast company. Now artists are beholden to profit above all else. Basically, capitalism ruins everything. And I am a filmmaker, so I complain about how it's ruining the film industry. Streaming acts as the tip of the spear, so to speak, where all the profit-minded practices are made manifest at home. Tubi isn't exempt from that system, but at least they ask their advertisers to pay for it, instead of their audience. Part 5. How easy is it to unsubscribe? The third and final big peeve of mine. How easy is it to unsubscribe? I don't want any dark patterns, I want to be able to cancel at any time, and I don't want any automated pushback begging me to stay subscribed.
Chidi, no, Chidi, please don't hurt me, I don't want to die.
I want, nay, need, one-click deactivation. If any senator wants to just instantly go up 3 points in the polls, just mandate one-click deactivation for all online service providers and you're golden. Now, we could go through and evaluate each service one by one, but there'd be no point, since no one does it better than Tubi, since there is no subscription to deactivate. Tubi is completely free. You don't have to subscribe. You don't even need to create an account. That's only if you want to curate a watch list. All you need to do is show up. So there you have it. Tubi is either first or tied for first in absolutely every single category we've looked at. So that means they're the winner, right? I mean, I wouldn't have titled this video, "What's the best streaming service and why is it Tubi?" if Tubi wasn't the winner, right? Part 6. The Tubi experience. For a long time during quarantine, I was worried I was becoming a bad movie watcher. First, it started taking longer and longer for me to pick something to watch. Like half an hour of me walking over to my movie shelves, looking through a row, getting frustrated, walking away, coming back, which I take as a sign that I was watching things out of sheer boredom instead of an actual interest. And then once the movie was finally on, I'd usually pull out my phone every time things got slow, usually at every act break, which I also consider not a good sign. At first I told myself I just wanted to look up the director or the IMDb trivia, but then I'd inevitably switch over to social media and scroll through that for 10 minutes. Or sometimes I'd wonder if I'd understood a certain plot point or understood the relationship between two characters or whatever, and so I'd pull up the wiki page and start reading the summary to make sure I understood, only to find out, after usually spoiling a couple things for myself, that it was supposed to be ambiguous. This is also a problem, because ambiguity is an important part of storytelling. Sometimes, when a film suddenly gets weird or slow or unclear, it's not always a mistake. Sometimes it's a deliberate authorial choice, and the only way to tell is to pay attention.
My name is Sapi. Your name is Snail. My papa says you're not supposed to be here.
This movie's fine, people are just mean. Now, I'm not gonna say that Tubi helped wean me out of these bad movie watching habits, because ultimately, I did. But Tubi did serve as a useful thought experiment for me. See, for a long time, I avoided Tubi just because it came with unskippable ads. I wasn't gonna let some corporation interrupt my precious viewing experience. But then I realized I was already interrupting my precious viewing experience by checking my phone, or watching movies when I didn't actually feel like watching them. So I finally started watching Tubi. After all, the selection was unbeatable. That's actually the first thing I noticed about them. And at first I told myself I was only gonna check my phone during the ad breaks. But then I soon found out that the ads were usually too short for me to check anything anyway. So I started putting my phone down, even during the ads. I still don't watch the ads, mind you. Now I spend the ad breaks usually thinking about the movie that I'm watching, which is great. Way more satisfying than checking social media. And it didn't take long for me to stop touching my phone no matter which service I was watching movies on. I basically don't do it anymore. And the clear winner in this situation is me. It is so much more rewarding to watch a film as an active participant rather than a passive consumer.
Wait. Here she comes. This is the part I really like, is when she does that shit with her hair.
Oh yeah, I know. I've seen it 3 times this month.
Basically, I've gotten back into a lot of good movie watching habits over the past year, both as an audience and as an artist. And it's not that Tubi did that for me, but I did happen to watch a lot of movies on Tubi while I did it. Now, Tubi is still a corporation, ultimately capable of just as much evil as any other, and Tubi's owned by Fox. So there are, of course, a billion ways that they could squander their good graces. Their original content includes a dramatization of the Amber Heard Johnny Depp trial that was released just 3 months after the verdict, which speaks to some questionable decisions on the administrative end.
Can't wait to see what's next.
And of course, the fact that it's ad-supported means that it will always leave it open to prioritizing the interests of advertisers over artists and audiences. I don't know what film distribution will look like in 10 years, or even 10 months, frankly, given the multiple sea changes in the industry over the last couple of years. All I know for certain is that when I watch a movie tonight, it'll be the only screen I'm watching. Now I know what you're thinking. What are you trying to tell me? That I can leave my phone across the room when I watch movies?
No, Neo. I'm trying to tell you that when you're ready, you won't have to.
Of course, once you do reach that point, the ads really do start to get annoying, at which point, you'll want to switch over to Criterion. Criterion is the best streaming site, hands down. They can share this video if they want to dunk on their competitors. They cost less than the price of a single movie ticket, they're still largely independent, not owned by Fox or Comcast or whatever, but by Janus Films, which isn't publicly traded, and so it's not beholden to shareholders. They've got a kick-ass library where nothing is included by accident, which means that at least one person on their staff loves each and every one of their films. They stream only the highest quality sources, often completing their own restorations before making the films available to the public, and perhaps most important of all, they have a dedicated, mission-critical stake in film restoration, preservation, and distribution, which is unparalleled anywhere else in the industry. I even get coupons for their physical discs. Just give me a watch list on the homepage and we're all set. Bernie would have won. Pardon me. I promise that will not go into the final video. The bar is sitting on the floor and people are still tripping on it. Yes? My cat has opinions.